I'm just settling down to watch Corrie on Sky Plus. Our Danielle's in bed, or in a bedroom doing whatever teenagers do. I've got my tea poured out and my feet up. Oh, I've always loved Corrie. Ever since Dan and Hilda. Perfect relaxation after a hard day at work. And then it starts. I can hear it through the walls. The neighbours, they're at it again. Shouting, banging doors, screaming, swearing. Put a bloody sock in it, I say. But not loud enough for 'em to hear. Well, it's hard. I don't want to kick up a fuss. I've got to face these people every day. And besides, that Stuart, the husband, he's a big bugger. Won't want to get on the wrong side of him. Oh, he's always pleasant to me face. Says good morning, asks after the kids. Maybe it's the drink. I can see their recycling bin from our sitting room window. It's all as full of wine bottles, beer bottles, whiskey, vodka. Well, to be fair, it's not just Stuart. His wife's just as bad, Kate. She gives as good as she gets when they argue. It's definitely not one-sided. She sounds like a right handful after a few glasses of wine, I can tell you. Oh, don't get me wrong, I know they've had it hard, especially with Lewis, but their eldest being a bit, well, special. Danielle says I'm not allowed to call him special. It's not politically correct, Dad, she tells me. Lewis is at the extreme end of the autistic spectrum and has a profound learning disability. He's unable to communicate verbally or by gesture. Pretty clever for a 15-year-old. Smart, her mum used to call her. Smart ass, I call her. Of course, Lewis's brother Shane is in Danielle's class at school and he tells her all sorts. Now, he's a nice lad. Quiet, reserved even. But seems to open up to our Danielle. Apparently, Shane was saying that they have to lock Lewis in his room because he gets overstimulated. Whatever that means. Then, when all the shouting and arguing starts, it upsets Lewis, which probably explains all the strange noises I can hear. According to Danielle, Shane's used to it all. He just sits in his room and turns his music up to block out the shouting and screaming. It's become the norm for him. Although, I remember Danielle saying that there's one time at school she saw Shane crying. She asked him what was wrong and he just said nothing and walked off. Poor sod. They're going for it tonight. The old woman across the road once asked if I'd ever reported it. Told her it was none of my business. Mind you, I did mention it to that counsellor fella at the school open night the other week. Oh, what was his name? Chow or Chowdhury or something. I recognised him from the local paper. His kid's in the year below our Danielle. Nothing formal, I said. I don't want to get anyone into trouble. He told me to make an appointment to see him officially, but in the end, I never got round to it. No Corrie tonight. Football's on instead. I've never really been into football, so I decided to have an early night. I go to the sitting room window to pull the curtains to, and I see her, Kate from next door, tottering down the road in her high heels. She turns, sees me at the window, sticks her finger up and walks off. Oh, bugger. She thinks I'm watching her. She probably thinks it was me that pushed that note through her letterbox last year, telling her to keep the noise down or the police would be called. Our Danielle reckons it was the old woman opposite. Well, bet the old girl's happy now. There's much less arguing these days. The husband, Stuart, he left about 6 months ago after an almighty row one night. It must have been bad, because I could hear Shane shouting and he never usually got involved. No, Kate's screaming, Lewis is screaming. Then Stuart comes out the house with a sports bag, gets in his car and drives off. Next morning, I'm defrosting the car and Kate comes out with a bin bag full of what I think are Stuart's clothes, her face clearly bruised. She throws the bag in the bin and avoids looking at me. At school, Shane confirms to Danielle that, his dad's gone. It's probably a good thing, he says. Stuart comes back every now and again to see the kids, but everything seems to have calmed down. I watch Kate disappear down the road. She'll be off to the working men's club. She works behind the bar there most nights and weekends too. I overheard her telling the bus driver, the one that comes to pick Lewis up to take him to the day centre, that the extra money was helping, but it means leaving Shane to look after Lewis. Poor kid. Can't be much fun for any 15-year-old having to look after their brother most nights, let alone one with needs like Lewis. I sometimes hear Shane getting frustrated with Lewis and threatening to lock him up in his room. Oh, no wonder. Poor kid must be exhausted, especially when Lewis kicks off. Anyway, I pull the curtains to and head upstairs. I must be tired because I fall fast asleep. Then suddenly I'm awake again. The clock says it's 10 p.m. I can hear voices, so I go to the window to have a look. There's a group of lads, about 3 or 4 of them, heading straight into next door. A couple of them are carrying multi-packs of beer. I can hear Shane greeting them at the door. Then someone puts some music on. Loud. Oh, great, I think. A teenage party. So much for a good night's sleep. I hear Kate come home about 1 in the morning. I'm still awake, so I go to the window. She's talking loudly and clinging to some fella, clearly the worse for wear. They go into the house where the music's still playing. Now, I'm not one to be nosy, but I notice that the fella doesn't leave until mid-morning. It's summer, and not a bad one either. The sun's shining and it's Saturday. The back garden's looking good, despite the weeds creeping through from next door. Our Danielle sat on the patio, rubbing suntan cream into her arms and pretending to revise. Next door, Kate's laid in the garden. She's cleared a space in the middle of the overgrown grass. Lewis is sat next to her. There's no sign of Shane. Danielle thinks he's staying with his dad because he drops him off every morning at school. It's the first time I've seen Lewis for a while. He doesn't seem to go to the day centre anymore. I haven't seen the bus come to pick him up for weeks. He looks like he's lost weight too. His t-shirt's all baggy and his arms look much thinner than I remember. Kate's mobile rings. She picks it up, looks at the screen, then drops it and lies back down. The phone rings off. Seconds later it's ringing again. This time she answers it. Yes, she says. I've told you. Lewis is at his dad's house. He wanted to see him. Now piss off and leave me alone. She hangs up and turns the phone off. Well, this seems to upset Lewis and he starts screaming. It's all right, I'm coming, she says. She's helping him into the house when she sees me. What are you looking at, you nosy bastard? She says as they disappear inside. I glance at Danielle. She's trying hard not to laugh. Next morning, I'm in the kitchen making a drink, and there's a knock at the front door. It'll be the window cleaner come to collect his money. But it's not. It's Stuart. I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. All right, Gary, he says. Graham, I correct him. But he's not listening. I've come to see Kate, he says. But it looks like she's out. I've been knocking for ages. Thought the lazy cow'd still be in bed, but looked like she's nipped down to the shops with Lewis. Can I come in and wait? Before I've had a chance to make an excuse, he's sat admiring my television. Any chance of a coffee, Gary, he says. I'm parched. Half an hour passes. Stuart's on his second coffee and there's still no sign of Kate and Lewis. Mind you, he's not short of things to say. He fills most of the time talking about Netflix and Amazon Prime. I haven't seen Shane for a while, I ask, casually offering him the biscuit tin. Nah, he's living with me at my flat, he says. He wasn't getting on with Kate. She's been a bit of a nightmare lately. Then, mouthful of chocolate digestive, he tells me all sorts. Turns out Kate's been on antidepressants for a while. It's the stress of looking after Lewis, Stuart explains. And the drink don't help. My mate Andy says she's lost her job at the workies. Was drinking the place dry, apparently. He laughs. Typical Kate. Go on, I say, leaving the biscuit tin behind him. In all fairness, Kate's struggling, he continues. That was not surprising. Lewis is hard work. She's his main carer. Mind you, she doesn't help herself. She's too proud. Someone at the day centre said something about Lewis's weight and Kate flipped. Took it as a personal criticism. Now, from what I can gather, she's not sending Lewis to the day centre anymore. When they ring her, she fobs them off. Tells them Lewis is at my house. Then I get a message on my phone. From the social worker, I ask. Nah, he says. The carers. Lewis hasn't had a social worker for 3 years. Stuart reckons they just don't care. It's the same with the GP, he says. Lewis hasn't seen Dr. Shah since he was 18. The surgery just keeps giving him repeat prescriptions for his anti-epilepsy drugs. 2 hours later, and he's still chatting away. Stuart finishes his 3rd coffee, and Kate and Lewis are still not back. Have you tried ringing Kate, I say? Phone's off, he says, or she's been cut off. Well, I can't wait any longer, he says as he gets up off the settee. They must have gone out for the day. Thanks for the drinks, Gary. And he leaves.